Good morning. This is tutorial number 24 for MVSU Music Theory 1, and we are going to be going over lesson 24 in the Berkeley Music Theory Book 1 today. So last lesson we talked about building a major scale. Today we're going to talk about building a minor scale, specifically natural minor. Now, one thing you need to know before we start, there's three flavors of minor scales, okay? The one we're talking about today is called natural minor, but there are also the harmonic minor scale and the melodic minor scale, which we'll talk about in later lessons. So there's two or three ways to describe a minor scale. I'm going to disagree with the book a little bit here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read in the natural minor scale, scale degrees 3, 7, and 6. 3, 6, and 7 are a half step lower than the same scale degrees in the major scale. That is all correct, okay? That's not the greatest way to explain it. When we talked about the major scale, we first talked about the pattern to construct it, okay? So from any given note, you're going to do whole, half, whole, half, whole, okay? Instead of whole, half, whole, half, which is major construction, okay? So once you know that, you can construct one from any given note. That's the first step, okay? So the flat scale degrees really only works in relation when you already have the major scale in front of you or you're thinking about it, okay? Which might work when you're thinking about when your major scales are down pat, but we're really reviewing those so you can get there. So that might not be your best strategy for right now. The first thing you need to know about the natural minor scale is that it has no leading tone, okay? So those two exclamation points in the major scale, going from scale degree 3 to 4 and 7 to 8, are not present in the natural minor scale. They're in a different place, okay? They're from scale degree 2 to 3 and scale degree 5 to 6, okay? So we do not call 7 a leading tone, okay? If you want to think about this in relation to the major scale, it's flat 7 to 8, okay, in natural minor, okay? Another thing you need to know about the natural minor scale is it's a fairly uncommon scale in music, okay? Major obviously is the most common by far, and then another form of minor is actually going to be the second most common, but we'll talk about that later. So what you're going to do here is if you're constructing it from C, you see that on the second line there, it's going to be, so C, then your whole step to D. There's your half step. Your first half step is from D to E flat, then E flat to F whole step, F to G whole step. Here's your second half step, and that is going to be your second half step. That's going to be G to A flat, okay? A flat to B flat to C, okay? As we get into the ear training portion of the class, we're going to be listening to these to give you an idea of how to differentiate them in your mind, okay? One other little side note is when we talk much later in a different theory class about modes, the natural minor scale is the same as Aeolian mode. We'll talk about that. It's a church mode, very old, and we'll talk about that much later. Okay. The other thing we need to introduce in this lesson is the concept of a parallel minor, okay? A parallel minor is a way you talk about a minor scale using a major scale. Okay, so C major, which we learned how to construct last week, and C minor are considered parallels, okay? C major is the parallel major of C minor, and C minor is the parallel minor of C major, okay? They have the same starting note. That is exactly what you need to know, okay? We're gonna have a different one, a different kind of relationship next lesson, but this one you need to know. If it's a C and then another C, or a D and another D, major and minor, it's gonna be a parallel relationship, okay? So those flat threes, flat sixes, and flat sevens work in a parallel relationship, okay? So this has been Dr. Morris, lesson 24 on the natural minor scale. Have a great morning. Bye.